Um, So we did receive a reply from Mr. Mitchell. Did you want to get up and speak to that now, sir? And just state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, how you doing? Matt Mitchell, 350 Randolph Road, Middletown, Connecticut, 06457. So I met with Mr. Sipp. My first time at the land use office was back in March 2023 before I purchased the property. I spoke with the staff member there, and they told me that, there were wetlands on the property, and they pulled up the map from the Middletown GIS, and stated this is where the wetlands were, and this is where the outlines were. I proceeded to go forth and purchase the property. What I wanted to do was start a farm there. I know Middletown went forth with the right to farm as a town. I read its state statutes. Farming in wetlands was an unregulated, permitted activity. And according to the Connecticut general statutes, that farming in wetlands was acceptable. In addition to farming in wetlands, the boundaries that were set by Middletown, which were on the GIS, unless it was changed at a commission, that's what it was. Mr. Sipperly did call me at the beginning of May, and he said the stuff was in the wetlands. I went, rechecked the maps, where the pallets were at the front of the property, where the pallets and wood chips sit right now. According to the Middletown GIS maps, they are not in wetlands. I tried to talk to Mr. Sipperly on that occasion, as well as several occasions. He was very rude. In addition to being very rude, I ended up having to go file a complaint with the mayor's office because, yes, he did visit my property. No, somebody was not carrying food. Nobody was carrying wood chips to the back of the property. It was food because there are animals there. So it wasn't wood chips that he saw. It was actually food for the animals. I put the packet together to answer the question. Some of it, I don't know where it mentioned that fill was brought to the property. There was no fill ever on the property. And if you state that you issue me a verbal cease and desist order and don't do anything, the only thing that I've been doing is feeding the animals. So the pallets that have been on the property and wood chips, I can't move it because you issued a verbal cease and desist, according to him. And then he sent the certified one in the mail. The maps that still currently show on the GIS is this right here. So where the pallet walkway is, that it said it doesn't happen to be in wetlands. And if there's a piece that crosses it, like I said, it was made so that there's a path from the front of the property to the back of the property where there are animals located. I also explained to Mr. Sipperly, I've been talking to the state DOT. When they built Randolph Road between 1933 and 1939, they put 2 equalization pipes that take water from one side of the road and dumps it on my property. One side, they connected it to a brook, but because the property wasn't maintained over the years, the brook just has been, it become overgrown and water pushed across the property. On the left side of the property, closer to the fire station, they put an 18-inch equalization pipe that dumps the water from the south side of the south side of the road to the north side of the road. So this is some of the stuff that I've been, talking to state legislators with. I've been talking to DOT with, because the state statute states that you got 15 years to rectify the problem with the state. It doesn't look like anybody here was around in, 15 years of 1939. So it's like an issue that, preceded us. But, I've cared about this stuff. It's something that I want to do, and I'm trying to beautify Middletown. I'm trying to add something for, local students so that they have an opportunity to do stuff. I sent Merrick an email after I initially spoke to Mr. Sipperly because he was, like I said, he was very rude. And there were some questions I had, and Merrick never responded to me. Till this day, I know he sent reply to council member staff, but he still never got back to me. I also went to the land use office again, tried to meet with them. They say he was in a meeting. So I did reach out. I've been to the land use office multiple times. And, the letter that Mr. Sipperly stated on behalf of Mr. Carter, it seemed that, that I never made attempts to reach out to the land use office. I never reached out for clarification. I've told him multiple times that I met with the USDA, the NRCS, the property has a farm track number, and he's telling me I need to meet with DEEP. I contacted DEEP, and they said, well, what you're doing is unregulated activities in wetlands. So I'm here tonight to ask what the issue is, and if there is an issue, how can I resolve the issue?
Okay. First of all, I'm sure that everyone in this commission commends you for what you're doing. The fact is, it has to be done in the proper manner. Just because you want to farm something doesn't mean you can go into a wetlands and just do it.
I understand what you're saying, but there's a portion of the properties, according to Middletown GIS wetland maps, that is not wetlands. That is the area that I was operating in.
Yeah. GIS maps are just something to go by.
State statute said that's the boundaries that Middletown has set is what I have to use, and it has to be changed at a commission meeting.
Okay, let me just read this one little paragraph here to you. And this is from...
The whole paragraph.
Yeah. All right. The maps of regulated areas entitled Official Inland Wetland and Watercourse Map for Middletown, Connecticut delineates the general location and boundaries of inland wetlands and the location of watercourses. Copies of this map are available for inspection at the Municipal Development Office, which is now the Land Use Office. In all cases, the precise location of regulated areas shall be determined by the actual character of the land, the distribution of regulated soil types, and locations of watercourses. Such determinations shall be made by field inspection and testing conducted by a certified soil scientist where soil classifications are required or where watercourse determinations are required by any qualified individual deemed acceptable to this agency.
I attempted to reach out Merrick for clarification. The emails that I sent to Merrick is in a packet. Till this day, Merrick has never got back. I read section 2242B of the Connecticut General Statutes. It says, no regulations of an inland wetlands agency, including boundaries of inland wetland and watercourse, shall become effective or established until after a public hearing relation. So the GIS maps is the boundaries that were set. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I looked up, there have been no changes to those boundaries, so I was acting within those boundaries. I also listened to Inland Wetlands and Watercourses meeting from 2022, and Mr. Sipperly stated when somebody was up here to speak that because they were farming and they dumped wood chips in that thing, there was nothing that they can do because they were doing something that they were permitted to do. And this was a video that was on YouTube from 2022. Like I said, in the packet, I reached out to Merrick. The copy of the email is there to this day. Merrick has not gotten back to me. Mr. Sipperly stated at a agriculture meeting that he went there multiple times and took multiple samples. I asked him to produce a report. To this day, he never produced a report from the samples that he's allegedly taken.
I did not take any samples from your property.
Well, you said you did.
At the agriculture meet, the last agriculture meeting, you stated, I'm not sure if it's on record, but you stated that you took multiple samples and you visited that property multiple times.
No, it is on the record. We record those meetings. I did not say that.
We should pull the tape.
So if we pull the tape and you did say that, what recourse do we have? Because,
Well, regardless of what I said and what I didn't say, the facts remain that because of our regulation 5.1, it states that we do have official maps, but it's general in nature, all right? It further states that to determine in all cases, and it says in all cases, in your case, in any case, that the wetlands have to be delineated by a certified soil scientist so we know what wetlands are on your property. Every applicant in Middletown who's been before us, the previous two people, they've had wetlands delineated so we know where it is the jurisdictional line is. So that's something that's probably going to have to happen.
I'm not sure if you read my package, but July of last year, I met with a soil scientist from the NRCS, a state soil scientist. Inside the package, it had this stuff, and it particularly stated this land was previously farmed. It was registered as a previous farm in Connecticut, in addition to being, and it delineated everything.
Yeah,
So you're-
I did see that, and I read it completely, but the NRCS...
This was through the chairman.
You're the staff person. We're talking to the chairperson. We're talking to the chair. You're the staff person.
Yeah.
We're talking to the
Okay.
chairperson.
Okay.
And what's your name, sir?
Lorenzo Jones. I'm the co-executive director of Patel, and we're a partner of Max, and we're invested in that farm, so we're here to stand for that.
Okay, I just want to get it for the record. Now, you're asking me a question?
Yeah. There was a soil scientist that came out from the NCRS, the state, okay, and they did come out and delineate that. A copy of that is in the packet that we sent to you all.
Yes, I saw that in there, and I'm going to let Jim speak to this because he's our staff.
Well, he's our staff.
Yes. Okay, sure. Yep.
So...
If you're both going to speak, just pass the mic back and forth, please.
Okay.
So the soil scientists from NRCS that came out to your property, they did not do a wetland delineation. They were looking at the soils based on farmability and agricultural use only. And they looked at field 27 and field 29. So, not to go into a lot of detail, but a lot of the area is mapped as a wetland from previous maps and previous use. What he says is, he's looking at this from an agricultural standpoint. There's a law that came into effect in December 1985. It said if you have wetlands that are being farmed prior to 1985, you've got the right to continue it if it's been continued for that long. If there's 5 years, if there's 5 consecutive years where there's been no farming, it reverts back to not being able to farm, and it explains all of that. But he does clarify that he's got a list. He's got a list here, and one of the soil types that is on his list is the Ripawam, a Ripawam soil. This...
What section are we? What section are we? Okay, there's the map.
So this is the map that is produced. 103 shows that big, thick band, okay? That is a Ripawam poorly drained soil. It's a wetland by definition. So this is general in nature, again, this USDA map. What we need to have him do is get a soil scientist out there to delineate where those wetland boundaries are as they are today, not from 1934, but regardless. And I did talk to Jeff Harvey, the farmer who was farming that land. So he did state that there was a hayfield along the front part of that section. And over the years, it got so wet that he couldn't farm it any longer. And he attributed it's not to what the DOT did, but to the subdivisions that were approved up by Route 9. I forget the name of the roads, but behind his house, there's several subdivisions, and all of that drainage goes down through that watercourse, maybe a man-named stream, or maybe it's unnamed, I don't know, but that's what is saturating his farmland, and he had to stop farming it. He did say that many years ago he tried to grow Christmas trees, thinking that Christmas trees would be able to, grow. It didn't. The ground was too saturated. And then he tried pumpkins, and there was a flood in the fall from a hurricane. He wasn't sure what year or what name of the storm was, but all of the pumpkins were floating down across Randolph Road and into the brook because of the amount of water.
Had to do what we're talking about.
So,
Mr. Chair, one of the things I can say, one of the things that is like I said, continues to be failed to address is an 18-inch and 24-inch equalization pipes that dump water from the south side of the road to the north side of the road. So yes, water could come across the property, but I've been there multiple times. I have pictures. I have been actually in the brook on both sides of the road. I have pictures in that you can see where silt has came down, trees, brush, everything has came down and blocked the stream. So if it's blocked the brook, of course there's only one thing water is going to go. It's going to go across the land, and you don't have to be a soil scientist for 35 years to figure that out. All you have to do is you have to visit the property.
And we can fix that.
You know, like I said, you know, some people say tomatoes, some people say tomatoes. I'm not trying to build a house. I want a farm.
Correct.
You know,
Now, I understand everything you're saying, and I think everyone here understands it. The thing is, you didn't do it with the proper steps.
so I contacted the agency. I've contacted Merrick. Do you know Merrick? Merrick is the chair,
Yes.
I believe, of the director of the department. He has not gotten back out to me.
He did not reach back out to us. We
Okay.
reached out to him. He didn't do his stuff. We reached out to him.
Well-
If he had reached back, we would have known these things, but he didn't do that.
All right, we can check with Merrick and see what happened, if he got your email, if he didn't reply, whatever.
It's contained within the packet.
The email we sent him is in the packet.
I sent the email out to staff members. So it's not, I take it didn't go to spam to no staff members. There were people who responded all throughout the city of Middletown, throughout the state. They responded, so I'm sure they got the email. You know, he took it upon himself not to reply. And some of the emails that he sent to people,
And he said, right.
you know, stating that he's know I reached out, but, and pictures that are included, they're pictures back from May. I mean, there's pictures from March that were included that were sent around. If people came and visited the property, you would see that, you know, how the pictures were in March after I first spoke with Mr. Sibley. I cleaned it up because I'm not sure if he made it seem like it was a blight issue and people had questions about what I was attempting to do on the property. When I first spoke to him, I told him I wanted to do farming. He never made mentions of coming to it. He made mentions of it was wetlands and what you have to do. He talks about wetland delineation, and I understand all of that. But the fact of the matter is, if he says, if you're saying it's an unregulated activity and you need permission, what do I have to do? Who do I have to ask at this commission? Can a motion be made to allow me to farm at 350 Randolph Road?
Okay. Our regulations 6-3 states wetland restoration activities must be approved by the Inland Wetland and Watercourse Agency. 6.4 says, to carry out the purpose of this section, any person proposing to carry out the permitted or non-regulated operations or use of a wetland or watercourse shall, prior to commencement of such operation or use, notify the agency on a form provided by it, and provide the agency with sufficient information to enable it to properly determine that the proposed operation and use is a permitted or non-regulated use of the wetland or watercourse. The agency or its designated agent shall rule that the proposed operation or use is a permitted or non-regulated use or operation, or that a regular permit is required. Such ruling should be in writing and shall be made no later than the next regularly scheduled meeting of the agency following the meeting at which the request was received.
Chairman Carter,
Yes.
what I would ask of you tonight is I would ask that you rescind the cease and desist letter that was sent. I would also ask that you make a motion to allow us to farm at 350 Randolph Road.
Okay.
The commission has been sent a package. It's available online for the public, anybody to see. I met with the USDA. It's clear what my, my intentions and the activities that I want to carry out on the land. The questions in the cease and desist letter were answered. If there's any further questions, I'll be happy to answer. But further prolong this meeting, I know you have a lengthy agenda. I wanted to let you know why I was here tonight. Because before I received the cease and desist letter, Mr. Sibley knew that I planned to come to this meeting tonight. So that's my ask of you, to make a motion to allow farming to take place on that land, and also that I receive a certified letter stating that it's okay to farm on the land.
In my opinion, that's something that we can't do tonight. My thought would be to keep the cease and desist in effect, possibly allow you to use to feed, you have animals out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, to feed your animals until we get an application from you and what uses you have and what you want to do on the property.
Did you receive the package?
I did receive the package, yep. But there's no application, there's no wetlands application on that property. I mean, on that,
We reached out to the land use office.
Okay,
What do we do about the director of land use
And use the microphone, please.
not getting back? You're saying that we did something without direction from that office. We're saying we reached out to that office. That office didn't do their job. So what's the section 6, 7, whatever on that? Because so you're putting us in a situation where we did our part, your staff didn't do their part and was rude. And so we're here today to try to find a solution.
And we want a solution. We want you to be able to do what you can do on that property, but you have to do it in a legal way.
Yes.
You can't just go there. Now, if you sent an email, which I'm sure you did, and there was no reply to it, then my thought would have been, if it were me, that I would have gone down there and found out why I didn't get a letter. Wait, hold on 1 second. Now, that being said, if you didn't hear, that doesn't give you permission to go out and do what you want. It doesn't.
So what does it give you the right to do to stop us if your staff don't do their job?
We have the right to stop you because it's
holding your staff accountable,
because it's a state.
including Mr. Sipley, who we keep talking about in the third person.
Okay, I'm going to answer if you can not interrupt me, please. We are charged by the state to protect the wetlands in the state of Connecticut, in Middletown, Connecticut. That's our job to do here. We are a regulatory commission. We regulate the wetlands. Now, if you go into a wetland and just do whatever you want to do, that's what we regulate. You can't do that. So if you would just please, in the next couple of days, reach out to Mr. Sipperly and to Merrick and get this solved so that you can have an application in front of this commission and we can discuss what you want to do and approve what you want.
So
hopefully we can.
I went to the office multiple times, attempted to, Mr. Sipperly was rude. Like I said, I went to the mayor's office and filed a complaint. I went to the office several times, and every time I went to the office, Merrick is in a meeting. In addition, the cease and desist letter was sent without the commission knowing about it. So why do we have to wait until the commission can meet again for our application to be reviewed?
Because that's the state law. An application that comes into this commission has to wait 15 days because if the people on Randolph Road and the surrounding area want a public hearing, they have to get a petition to us within 15 days, and then we will schedule a public hearing. If they don't, that's after the 15 days, then it just becomes a regular application to the next month. Now, we only meet once a month, so that's why it's 15 days turns into 30.
Why did Mr. Sipperly never give me an application? Or if you're going to send a cease and desist letter, he knew what activities were wanted to take place on the land. I've spoke with him and told him, but when he sent the cease and desist letter on your behalf, he never did it. When I went down there and spoke with him in person with a map of the land, he never said, this is the application you need to fill out. When I spoke with the administrative assistant there and she showed me the wetlands, and I went to the Middletown's website and it said, these are the wetlands map, and if you go to the land use department, economic department or land use department, you can purchase a copy of it. And I went there and they said, no, the only maps we have are online. And I followed that and I did what I can do, and the land at the map, the GIS and Middletown map said it's not wetlands, and you send me a cease and desist letter for doing something that's not in the wetlands that you do. So I have to go, and so if I have to delineate all the wetlands in Middletown, because that's what you're telling me. Middletown's job is to delineate the wetlands and tell me what the wetlands are, not for me to tell Middletown what the wetlands are. According to Middletown, I'm not doing something in the wetlands.
It's the landowner's responsibility to find out what are or not wetlands.
And we did that.
And that's according to the Middletown GIS maps.
By regulations that say you have to have it done by a certified soil scientist from the state of Connecticut.
That would be you, Sipley?
No.
So, okay, when you were talking to us, why did you just not say to us, here's the same thing the chairman just said?
Because Jim works for the town. He does not work for you. He just happens to be a registered. He just happens to be a registered soil scientist.
The town works for us.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
So just to be clear, okay, there's a couple of misrepresentations that I have to make sure this is on the record, okay? He came into the office, Corinne did pull up the wetland map. Corinne also told him, you need a certified soil scientist to delineate the wetlands. We tell everybody that. She's trained, she's smart, that is what we tell everyone. We pull up the maps, we look, and we say, these are general in nature. It says it in the regulations that it's general in nature. And the only way that we know for sure is that the homeowner or the landowner hires a soil scientist so we know what we're dealing with as far as your jurisdiction.
So
okay?
how can you send a cease and desist letter for doing things in wetlands and you yourself don't know it's wetlands?
Well, so I can tell you, I can tell you, okay?
You can't tell me if you claim you've been there. Now that at the previous ag meeting, you said you've been there, you took your samples.
I did not take any samples.
That's what
I
you
made
said
that
at the
clear.
ag meeting, and
No.
we can,
No.
and Mr. Carter, if you want, you can pull the tapes from that.
That's not what I said.
But now you're sending a cease and desist letter and gave me a verbal one on Mr. Carter's behalf. So
It's nothing like a threat.
now I'm trying to figure out, you're telling me I can't, you sent the cease and desist letter and you're telling me this is wetlands, but you don't know it's wetlands.
I
So
know
how-
it's wetlands because you can see it. You can see it. You
I
don't
told
have
you the
to-
water problem
you don't
from the
have
brook.
to-
Because
you
you've been a
don't-
scientist for 30 years.
All right, listen.
All right, let's...
There's a couple of things. Delineate the wetlands and set a
Right.
field trip. And I'd like to know what kind of animals he has out there because that's a whole
here
other
we
situation.
Mr. Carter, I asked that
Here we go.
if you sent me a cease and desist letter, I'm asking you to please delineate and tell me which part of my land I can do something in.
That's
Because-
not our job to do. That's your job to get done.
No, but if you send me a cease and desist letter and tell me I can't do something in wetlands, you have to tell me what the wetlands are.
No, you have to determine where the wetlands are. We know what's wet and what's not there.
How do you know
I've been
what's wet?
I've been traveling that road for 65 years. I know what a wetland is.
Did you
I've
see
been
the
on this-
brook? Have you seen the brook?
Have I seen the brook? Of course I
On
have.
both sides of the road.
No, I don't remember seeing a brook on the south side of the road.
Have you seen the equalization pipes?
No, because they're under the road.
But they're visible if you look. And this is what I'm saying. You're telling me I can't do something on the land, and you're telling me the 13.4 acres is wetlands. But I've met with people who said the whole 13.4 acres is not wetlands. So if you're going to send a cease and desist letter, I need you to tell me specifically what parts I can and cannot operate in.
And that's your responsibility, to have a soil scientist delineate the wetlands.
How do you send me a letter stating that you're going to fine me $1,000 for doing something, and you can't tell?
prove I'm doing wrong.
We're not going to fine you anything.
That's what the letter said.
That's what is possible.
That is what the
That
letter
is what is
says.
possible.
So it's possibly that you can fine me for doing something right in an area that you think is wrong, that you don't have proof that it's wrong doing it in.
And you don't have proof that it's correct either.
We do. We have maps from the USDA that says it's not wetlands. You don't have a map.
You don't have proof from the
You don't have a
USDA
map.
that says they are not wetland soils.
You are saying your map is wrong. We use your map, and your map is wrong. But
Our
you're
map-
telling us that
I'm
we're
saying
wrong.
our map
It's wrong.
is a general location.
It's wrong.
And if you read the regulations, it
I'm
tells you what
not-
you have to do.
I'm not operating that general location.
Okay,
They don't
all right.
right.
We have a couple of commissioners up here that want to ask a couple of questions. Ken, and then, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ken.
Mic's off.
Yep.
That's where I get the feedback.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, for staff, this letter that was sent to you gentlemen was primarily based on the fact that you're putting pallets across what was very obviously damp ground, correct? And it looked like you were hauling in wood chips, which filling in wetlands is not allowed. So on that basis, we don't want people filling it. We've had a couple of instances in town where people chipped up trees and filled in wetlands, destroying the wetlands, contaminating them. So we're very sensitive about that. If there were not wood chips, I personally am going to apologize for the city and the staff for mistaking that. However, they thought they were wood chips, and we're very sensitive about that. Do you have a copy of your presentation that you mailed to us?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to refer you to the photograph. The top of the page says certified wetland determination map, County Middlesex Farm Tracts.
That's the very top?
It's about a third of the way in.
Yep, I got it right here.
Okay, and it shows, I don't know if oh, there we go. You can see it up on the screen. And look at that. You can see on, north is up, south is down, and on the south side, there's a tract that's basically brown
page is
in this area.
Do you have a page number?
No, I
they're not
didn't
numbered?
see a page number. This area in brown here, you see that? It says tracts 1218, field 27, FWP. Now, according to the notes underneath that, that FWP means farmed wetland property.
Correct.
So the presentation you gave us shows that right up to the road is wetland. So placing pallets and wood chips in there would not be allowed.
If we were doing field, yes. But we
Okay,
are
no,
not.
it's just,
Okay.
let me finish. So my question is, if it wasn't wet, why do you need the pallets?
No. See, this is work. It's like, so you're playing on wetlands versus wet land, like girlfriend. That's not fair.
No,
Like,
I'm
wetlands is a
going
legal
by the,
term,
I'm
and
going
the
by the
term-
pres,
a
sir,
descriptor of
sir,
wetlands is different.
I'm going by the
No, you're not. You're
presentation.
playing.
I'm going,
Okay.
So,
going by
so-
what
so-
you
so
gave
I-
me.
We'll be
So
around.
I'll answer your question. So the name of the business is Lovie's Farm.
Yeah.
Lovie, my daughter's name
Sure.
is Sienna Lovie.
Okay.
The reason the pallets are there is because I bring her out there. So where I can put boots on my feet and I can step on it and no problems, I'm bringing a 4-year-old across the property, and it's the safest thing to do. So soil could get wet, it can be wet, but it's easier for her to walk across the pallets. In addition, there's a bunch of vegetation that grows, and it's just helping to cross and create a path to walk from like the front part of the property to the back. So if she's walking out there and she gets lost, she could find her way back to the front. You know,
Okay.
it was stated that Phil was there,
Understand.
and I think I stated in there too
Thank
about
you.
the wood. Yes, there are wood chips there, but the purpose of the wood chips is to use for compost. So what I do is I feed chickens on the wood chips. The wood chips scratch, they peck, they turn it into compost. Their manure gets in there, and you turn around, and I use that to grow crops.
Oh, so it was wood chips, but you're using them as chicken feed?
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
so you can use them
All
for
right.
bedding, things like that. There's no. It mentioned that fill was bought in. No fill was ever bought in, and the
Okay.
reason that you see the pile of wood chips at the front of the property is if it's a blight problem, if you issue me and say stop work, don't do anything, I'm not going to do it. I can't move the pallets
Understand.
at the front of the property. I could be an eyesore to the neighbors in the area. So
Okay, thank you. Now, for Mr. Sipperly, there's a lot of things that farmers are allowed to do on wetland. Other than the pallets, is there any activity that they were doing that would be prohibited under state law?
I have no idea because I haven't been back there, and I suggest that the commission set a field trip to look at it for themselves, because I don't know what's going back there.
Okay. That's about what I was going to suggest, is that the commission does take a trip out there to see what activities are going on. We do need a list. We need to do our own research and make sure we know exactly what activities are permitted without any kind of regulations, so that we have that with us. And
I would recommend that the commission schedule a field trip after the wetlands have been delineated, so we can see where the wetland delineation is. It makes sense.
pardon me, Mr. Vice Chairman, I would invite anybody to come out there with me. If you let me know your availability, I'll let you know my availability. We can go out there. We don't have to wait for a wetland determination. I would advise put some muck boots on and have some clothes that you don't mind getting dirty. Because like I said, I will like to show you not just what he believes is wetlands, but I would like to take you across the whole 14 acres so you can see where the two equalization pipes are. so that, possibly this commission can actually write a letter on behalf of me or write to the DOT, and see what they're willing to do about the equalization pipes. Because part of the state statute states that when they do start for right of use and for good of the public, that they do it to create the least harm to land. And when they put the equalization pipes in, it created the most harm to land. So a lot of times, people drive by and make mention of them seeing water piled up on the land. They're not familiar with the equalization pipes are. If you know where the equalization pipes are, now you're going to understand why the land is wet. You're going to see that's where the water's piling up at.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of places in Connecticut where we now have wetland because of the activity of DOT or somebody else. And the water comes in, it sits, it becomes a wetland. So, it really doesn't matter if it was man-made or natural or anything else. I mean, we've got places where they dug out drainage ponds that were supposed to be active for 6 months, and they're now a viable wetland. And that happened 10, 15 years ago. So we're concerned with what's on the ground now.
Yes, like I said.
And just as a field trip, if Mr. Mitchell claims to be conducting allowed activities, farming, I don't think that we should delay a field trip waiting for a soil delineation. I think we should just go out there, see what he's doing, and if, according to state law and Middletown ordinances, his activities are allowed, I'd like to go see for myself.
I'd like to state something. My name is Chantel Bien-Aimé, and I am part of this organization.
Your address, sir?
Chantel.
Your address?
My address?
Yeah.
Oh, my address is 424 Cottage Grove Road, and this is in Bloomfield. But I'm part of the Catal organization, and I was over.
Bend that gooseneck right up or take
I was
it
over at the farm today, and I got to say that I really appreciate the work that he's doing there. One of the things that you did mention just a little while ago is, I'm sorry, you, Mr. McClellan?
Yes.
You asked Mr. Sipley, was there anything that Matt is doing on the land that could be perceived as, maybe illegal or that he shouldn't be doing? Mr. Sipley found it hard to find anything. And what I'm seeing right now is really a situation where, when I say that, I mean that, outside of the pallets and the wood chips, there isn't really much going on there that should stop you guys from taking back the cease and desist. What's happening is that you guys have made an assumption about what he was possibly doing based off what you saw, and you guys have now caused a lot of harm for his business and everything that he's put money into. And, I don't think that's the position of you guys here. I think if you guys saw that you made maybe a quick decision in issuing a cease and desist letter, maybe you should rescind that and make it your point to come out to see the farm, but don't hinder him and hurt him and cause his business all this harm of not being able to take care of it. Well, he takes care of the animals, but not being able to do all the other functions that come with farming. And it's a big land, a big piece of land. There's a lot to do. We have the manpower. We have people coming from all across Bloomfield, Hartford, Meriden, everywhere to help him and assist him. And all we want is a little bit of leeway, a little bit of grace, something where you guys could really see that we're coming in to do something positive for the community. And if it is something that we need to take care of, give us the opportunity to fix it, be clear for us so that we could just do it because we have the manpower. But the pallets are just there so we could get across. They're just there so we could get across. Because even for me, he talks about his 4-year-old, it was difficult for me to get across the land because it was a little uneven, right? And the pallets made it that much easier. So if it's just for that, I think you guys should just take away that cease and desist and make it your point to come out there tomorrow.
First of all, this wasn't done. This wasn't done overnight. This is something that has been going on for over a month. When Jim told me what was happening as far as talking to you and asking you to remove those pallets and to remove the wood chips, and nothing was being done, then we waited, gave you more time, and then we did the cease and desist, because that's our next step.
Mr. Carter, if Jim told you he told me to remove wood chips, if Jim told you he told me to remove wood chips,
The pallets, the wood pallets.
okay, because I was gonna say it's a false claim because what he told me, I cannot have pallets in wetlands. The pallets were toward the west side of the property where the equalization pipe is, and I moved the pallets from the west side of the property.
They're on the east side of the property, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I moved them from, because what he said was that they can float away. The pallets are nowhere where they can float away. They're not even by the brook. And this is what he told me. The day that I went to the office and I spoke to him, while I was at the office, wood chips were getting dropped. It was already a pre-planned drop because after I looked at the maps that were available, I did exactly what Middletown's land use, Middletown's wetlands website said. That's where I had them drop the wood chips. And then when he said, I'm issuing a verbal cease and desist, I didn't do anything else but feed the animals. Like I said, the reason why I had to file a complaint with City Hall because when a friend of mine went out there to feed the animals, that's when he proceeded to and I'm trying to talk to him, and I'm on the phone and he keeps yelling at me and screaming credentials. I said, wait a second, can you listen to me? Let me give you this. And when he would not listen, yes, I did hang up the phone. He proceeded to try to snatch my friend's phone out of his hand and started scrolling through his thing, and my friend took his phone back. If you want, at the next meeting, I can ask my friend to come so he can verify that information. Like I said,
What I really would like is for us to resolve this as fast as possible, and I'm sure that's what everybody else wants here too. But if you keep arguing with us that our regulations are not you don't have to follow them, then something's wrong here.
Mr. Carter, I never said your regulations are not to be followed.
We read to you that your soil has to be delineated by a registered soil scientist in the state of Connecticut.
Mr. Carter, Mr.
Yes.
Sipperly, and through Mr. Sipperly, you did not follow your own regulations when you sent me a cease and desist letter, told me I cannot operate in wetlands according to Middletown's regulations. And I've been following Middletown's regulations to a T. If you would like, I can pull it up on my iPad that's connected to Middletown's maps, and you can see the map.
You're talking about the GIS maps?
Yes.
We know the GIS maps. And we also know, when I read that to you, that the map is just a generalization of the wetlands. And it says that you need to have a soil scientist to delineate them. I don't understand what you don't understand about that.
How do you
Gentlemen, stop it or you'll be both out of here, all right? We're not going to put up for this arguing.
First of all, he started arguing.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Arguing with me.
I don't want to hear it from either one of you. Now, go ahead what you were saying.
Mr. Carter, like I said, and this is the last time I'll make the point, you sent me a cease and desist letter based on your maps. Because that's the only thing you have to do. You have to stand on something. So according to your maps, you have to send me a cease and desist letter. Correct. So according to your maps, the pallets were not in wetlands. So all that I'm asking is for you to rescind the cease and desist letter, and if you want to issue me another one, please delineate where I can and cannot operate on my property until the next meeting.
No, it doesn't work that way. We don't delineate. That's the landowner's responsibility.
Who creates your maps? The city of Middletown. You're basing
The city of Middletown doesn't own that property.
You're basing your cease and desist letter based on Middletown's regulations. And Middletown's maps, you're saying, are false, are wrong, are incorrect. So
I never said that. I never said our maps are wrong, incorrect. What I said was our maps are a generalization of the wetlands. And if you read the regulations in 5 point...
In all cases,
it's the responsibility of the landowner to delineate the wetlands by a registered soil scientist from the state of Connecticut.
I understand that part.
You didn't do that.
You sent a cease and desist letter. Mr. Sipperly sent a cease and desist letter. A cease and desist letter came from this commission without a meeting, so I'm not sure if you're communicating through regulated conversation that's foiable or what. Well, what I do want to make a mention, you sent the cease and desist letter based on what map? That's what I'm asking you. What map did your cease and desist?
We sent the cease and desist based on
field conditions
in person that were visual
But you can't
And-
send it, you have to have a legal ground.
We
By
do.
what,
We do.
by what you see, I could put a picture of a pool out there. That doesn't mean a pool's out there.
We do have a legal right to do it because we are charged by the state of Connecticut to enforce the Clean Water Act of 1985, which regulates wetlands. Now, if you want to stay here and argue all night about this, I'm more than happy to. I'm up till 2 o'clock in the morning, every morning. So I don't have a problem, but there's other people here that might have a problem. So I suggest to this commission, Kristen, I know you want to say
But
something.
then it
My
becomes an
suggestion-
accusation, doesn't it? It
My
just
su-
becomes an accusation. If you don't have something to back it off of, if you're not using your own maps or some other map, then it just becomes an accusation, and you would still need to come up with some type of proof that shows that we broke some law or that we did something that we shouldn't have. What you're doing is, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I feel like you guys are using your positions to be able to do whatever you want. And I can respect that we're not supposed to do certain things, but if you're going to just say it verbally without giving us some type of physical proof, it makes it hard for us to understand what we're caught up in. Is this just targeting, or is there really something concrete that we can look at and say, hey, Mr. Sipperly has this map that he's going off of, and although the GIS is general and it just shows a general track, but Mr. Sipperly went and got an actual map of where it was, and in that case, he's wrong.
We don't
But
have
that's
an
not what you
actual
guys
map of where it
did.
is. Sir, you're not going to be allowed to speak. You're not going to be allowed to speak, sir, unless you're a property owner.
Me?
Yeah.
He's one of our partners.
You're a property owner?
I just want to say something.
Are you a property owner?
In Middletown?
No.
Yes, I am a property
This
owner.
property.
No, I do not own this
All right, then
property.
you're not allowed to speak.
Well, do the people
This
want...
is not a public hearing.
I just want to say something quickly.
You're not allowed to speak
Well, why can't his people speak then?
because he said that he was a property owner.
He's not, though.
He never
Oh,
said he was a property owner.
He said he was invested in the property. To me, that's a property owner. So who owns the property?
I think it's pretty clear that...
Who owns
He
the
owns
property, sir?
The property is owned by Ag Property Management.
Pass these just to look at it.
Liability Corporation in the state of Connecticut.
And who is that? Who's the person? Who are the people that own it?
There are several members who sit on the board of that organization.
Okay, so they're allowed to speak here. This is not a public hearing.
Show cause hearing.
It's a show cause hearing for you to answer the questions on the cease and desist order. Now, we've been through this. The regulation says that those maps that we say are the City of Middletown maps are nothing than a generalization, and that it's your responsibility to delineate the wetlands on the property.
Mr. Carter, when I look at fire hydrants in the city of Middletown's on the map, it's correct. When I look at districts on the city of Middletown's website, GIS maps, it's correct. When I look at the FEMA maps through the Middletown GIS maps, it is correct. So you're telling me the only thing that is not correct is the wetlands maps? I find that hard to believe.
Wetlands, they don't move fire hydrants. They don't move by themselves. Wetlands get bigger, they get smaller. People block up things. It turns into a wetland area. The state of Connecticut does it. It's probably what happened to this property.
I quoted 22-42B when it states that the only way that a city can change its wetland boundaries is by public hearing.
Correct.
And according to what I've researched in the city of Middletown, there was no public hearing to change any wetland boundary in Middletown.
We didn't change any wetland boundary.
So the wetland boundaries that are there are what are shown on the GIS maps.
Okay, you can believe what you want to believe, but I'm telling you what the regulation says,
So you can,
and that's what we go by. Kristen, did you have
Yes, I have a bunch of things.
Question or comment?
Okay, so, thanks for coming, I commend you. I used to sit on the CCA, and I was very much into the right to farm for this exact reason. It is not very clear, and unfortunately, you are now the first victim of this. And I brought it to Common Council, I brought it to a bunch of other agencies within the town to avoid something like this. And I'm very sorry that it happened to you. As a citizen of Middletown privately, I have my own application of wetlands out. It is in your best interest to mark your own wetlands. you may not have the amount of wetlands that it says. It's honestly, again, in your best interest. So I would just do that for your own peace of mind. I think, again, you're passionate about this. Again, sitting on the CCA, we pushed for more people to do this, especially minority. So this is great, especially for the town. I think that, yes, we should go out to the property, see what you guys are doing, and get an actual application in to cover yourself. As far as the animal goes, do you just have chickens right now?
So there's chickens, goats, bees, quail,
Okay.
and the duck that's found its way home.
Do you plan on
Is there a
having
pig there also?
A what?
A pig?
No.
Was there a pig there?
There were pigs previously, got rid of pigs.
Okay.
I don't want to focus on, when I thought about the issue, I think a sanitary issue may come into play and it may affect other people in the area. So I got rid of them. And like I said, my main thing is what I want to do is, like you see, if you drive by right now, you'll see the fields are pretty high. My plan is to get goats and use goats as a regenerative way to farm. And then hopefully I can reach out to the city of Middletown with their open land and move goats there with electric fences, cut back on some of the greenhouse gases that are being passed by gasoline equipment.
So do you plan, or do they currently have shelter?
Yes.
Okay, so again, it is in your best interest to have yourself covered under a wetlands application. It seems like there's just a lot of miscommunication, and I think that can be rectified. So again, you're very passionate. It's not going to solve anything tonight by going back and forth. I think we're just going in circles at this point. So at this point, I would like to officially on record get Mr. Sipperly to agree to please amicably work with Mr. Mitchell and his crew along with the land use office. If they have any questions, you guys make yourself available to them to make sure they're understanding completely what they need to be doing to help out the greater good of this town. So is that something you can say on record, please? Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so I feel at this point, we need to, do we need to make a motion for a special meeting? Or I just feel, no offense, we're just going around in circles. I feel like we just need to end this. We need to make a motion or whatever we need to do to have a special meeting to go out there, check it all out, file an application, the sooner the better, because if you file, what would be the cutoff for them to get a July meeting?
So the first thing that needs to happen is the commission can set a field trip, but the wetlands are going to have to be delineated on that property.
Well, that's
for
what I'm
him in
saying.
order
So
to-
what is
to-
their
for him-
deadline to get on the July 3rd meeting? When do they have to have an application
A
in?
week before.
Okay, so you guys have a week before to call up a wetlands soil scientist. You have my email, I can recommend one for you that I've personally used. Get them out
Yeah.
there, tell them you're on a
We don't make
time crunch.
recommendations
No, that's-
Oh,
from
I'm
this
sorry.
commission.
Strike
Okay,
that. Strike-
well, strike that from there. It's very easy, I did it myself to look one up. They're very well-known, they're very reputable. Get that in, get your application started now, so the only thing you're waiting on is a soil scientist. Get that in 1 week before, that way you can be heard officially at the July 3rd meeting. We can squash this, you can do your thing, we can all be in compliance, and everybody wins.
Yes, ma'am.
So, thank you. So, motion to have a special meeting, do we need a motion for it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we need a motion to
Set a field
have a
trip.
site visit, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a public meeting, so anybody from the public can go as well, because we
Yep.
have to post the meeting.
Your mic's not on.
So when the commission sets a field trip like this, that's considered a special meeting. It's a public meeting. Anybody from the public can attend if they so choose. We have to file it in the clerk's office, and you guys have to set a date.
Yeah, I'll second the motion for the
Okay.
special meeting at the site within the next 22 days.
Well,
Or we can decide,
typically, you got everybody, you got almost everybody here now, so I would recommend that you guys pick a day, in the afternoon maybe, 5 o'clock, or on a weekend, I don't know.
When's a good time for you to meet?
So I'm available the 6th, 7th, 8th this week. I'm also available 7th, 8th. I can meet next weekend, the 14th, 15th, or 16th.
I would say push it out as best we can, because that'll give him time to actually delineate the wetlands, so we're all looking.
That would be the ideal.
Yeah, so you said, so the 16th is good for you?
Oh, the 6th, I'm sorry, I can't do the
Father's Day,
15th
yeah.
or 16th. But during the weekend or during the middle of the week works best. 'Cause I realize that the 16th is Father's Day.
What about the 25th, Tuesday night? That's,
That's getting close, though,
okay,
to...
all right, well then what about the 20th or the 21st at night?
I won't be in town that weekend. I'll be available the 19th that night, Juneteenth. So that's 2 weeks from tonight.
Is that,
You're
that
confident that you can
Juneteenth?
get a soil scientist out there by then?
I'm confident.
Okay,
Is that the phone?
yeah, your mic's on, yeah. That's Juneteenth, so I think that Jim won't be working, right?
It's a holiday.
That's a holiday,
It's a holiday.
yeah.
and then he also has CCA on the 18th, so what about the 17th? Right, but you staff CCA, so you're gonna be busy on these 18th, so you can't do it on the 18th. The 18th is a Tuesday, but that's the CCA meeting.
I would love for you to come, though.
Then let's get a date that's compatible to everyone here.
Can't be through this.
Or even if you want to look at like the 27th, 28th, 29th. I mean,
Then we're getting too close to the next meeting.
next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all right, though, because nothing's really gonna.
Jim, when are you on vacation? 15th to the 27th?
Yeah, 22nd,
22nd?
yeah.
What about the 14th then? Did you say you were out of town?
Yep, I'm here the 14th, Flag Day.
All right, can we do the 14th then? At night, in the evening, like 6:30, something like that?
I'm not sure what time sunset is, but it works for me.
Yeah. That way we have,
5:30?
well, traffic, I would say 6 or 6:30, because traffic and everything. 6, so June 14th on the 6th, site visit. Okay.
So like I said, I mean,
Before you continue, let us finish what we have to do here for this,
okay.
okay? So there's a motion for a meeting, special meeting on June 14th at 6 PM on site at Randolph Road. And Ken, you seconded that, correct? Okay, is there any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll ask for a vote. Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining? No. Okay. Yeah. Now, is there a motion to keep the cease and desist in order?
Yeah, I'm moved to continue this. I understand you got animals, and I would like, if any at all possible, allow them any activity that involves caring for animals to be excluded from the cease and desist.
Okay, is there a second for that? All right, any discussion on that motion? All right, seeing no one will ask for a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed or abstaining? No to both. Okay, thank you. You got something else to say, or that's it?
No, the only thing I was gonna say, just make sure when you come out there that you have some boots or shoes that you don't plan on getting messed up in. The thicker the paint, the better, because there is bramble out there. I just want the
There's what out there?
bramble.
Okay.
And maybe
okay, yep,
prickle bushes, thorns like that.
okay,
All right.
thank you.
Well, thank you.
Okay, under public hearing, item B1 is continuation of a request for proposed construction of a 99,000 square foot manufacturing building with offices and warehouses in the upland review area and a proposed road crossing through a wetland system located at Middle Street, map lot 03-0209. Applicant agent is Gary DeHarsh, Delta Building Corp., and it's Wetlands 2024-2.
So the applicant is not here tonight, and we have the hearing that has been continued. We have to close it tonight. So my recommendation would be to close the public hearing, and then, well, see if the public wants to speak, but we're going to, my recommendation is going to be deny this without prejudice. Well, did you just hear what I said? They're not here. No.
We're going to deny it.
We're going to deny the application without
Yeah,
prejudice.
it's,
Okay. So we're still in the public hearing, so
right.
we have to ask if there's anyone here from, right, that wants to
Well,
speak.
yeah, you have to, but
All right, I'm gonna ask if there's anyone here from the public that would like to speak, and I would suggest that if you really don't have anything to say, because we know what's gonna happen, that you not come up and speak. But you're
Right.
certainly more than welcome to.
And so if you guys are all here at the beginning of the meeting, right? So you heard from Attorney Carella, they found another site on Middle Street at the far end, Spruce Brook.
Well, you can do that, yeah.
Okay, so
So, seeing no members of the public to speak, I will ask the commission to close the public hearing.
Yep.
And is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to close the public.
Okay. And
Second.
is there a second?
Oh, wait, we gotta,
Just state your name and your address, please.
My name is Joe Rankowitz. I live on 205 Preston Avenue, Middletown. The gentleman that were here with the farm, what you guys...
Sir, this is a public hearing for this item.
Correct, but I just want to say something. The impact of their property was a direct result of overbuilding above. You guys even said it. This is the problem that's going to happen in Middletown if you continue to build on property that is close to a water source. It's going to continue to silt in because the rains are getting heavier. The storms are getting more frequent, and this is just going to continue to happen, and you're just pushing this stuff further and further down the line for people to wanting to build on property that really should be left as farmland. And that includes that piece of property that is down the other end of Middle Street. Because there's farmland, there's a watercourse behind that. There used to be beavers in the pond back there. But that's my say.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so the motion was